Welcome to GOlive TV, the future in your hands. The only multicultural IPTV station that brings communities together. Over 2.7 million people have already watched. GOlive TV, anytime, anywhere.
Greetings to the world. Our program today is very interesting and I hope you will all enjoy. Our guest, Eric Rodriguez, a practicing architect in Europe and North America. He looks beyond prevailing norms to create designs that are impactful, memorable, and of lasting value. He has obtained multiple national and international awards. Eric is a major sustainability advocate and he strives when working side by side with clients, consultants, and community leaders to build better cities and enhance the lives of their inhabitants. He strongly believes that great architecture can positively impact communities and inspire people. And here is Eric Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much for the invitation.
I think that my introduction was correct. If you want to add anything else.
No, it's always a bit weird when you hear someone talking about yourself, but thank you very much for the words.
Okay, let's start then with the first question. One of your projects in your career, Eric, was a performance art center in Ukraine, an international competition that you won first place. Could you tell us more about that project?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question and a great way to start this. So that competition came at a very interesting period of my life as well. I immigrated to Canada around 2012 and I started working in one of the major Toronto architecture firms. And I felt the need to express myself, to find a project to develop and to share some of my ideas with the world. And I saw this opportunity to develop a project in the Ukraine as a unique opportunity for me to put some of my ideas in practice. And it was, competitions are always very, very hard to predict the outcome. There's normally hundreds of people that are participating in these competitions, but I guess there was a little bit of luck as well involved, I guess, and I achieved first place in this project. So yeah, it's all about sustainability. It's a project that really adapts to the surrounding nature. As an architect, I think that's a critical aspect that we need to do. I really believe that buildings should be designed for a certain place, that you can't repeat a building. You can't design a building and place it anywhere in the world. And this theater is an example of how architecture that is designed for a place to respond to a specific need interacts with nature the way it should interact. And well, I'm really proud of this project. I think it was very successful. Unfortunately, we had to suspend it because of the current political condition in the Ukraine, but I'm very hopeful that one day we're going to see it built, and it's going to bring me lots of joy to see it built.
Congratulations on this international award, and I hope we'll be able to visit.
I would love to go there with you one day.
Short time, for sure.
Absolutely.
I accept the invitation. We'd like to discuss another topic of great interest to me and to many other lovers of architecture, and that is the adaptive reuse of buildings. Can you describe a little bit about that? And it is very clear in your portfolio of buildings that you have worked on many adaptive projects, some of them very significant and transformative, like, as you said, the Walford Astoria Hotel in New York. You were one of the chief
I was one of the project managers
of this project. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience working on that project?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's another great experience that I had in my life. I always wanted to live in New York, and I always wanted to work at SOM, this firm, this architecture firm. And I actually joined SOM with the expectation that I was going to be designing super tall buildings, because that's their expertise. And I remember the first day in the office, they told me that they wanted me to work on the Waldorf renovation.
Wow, that was a surprise.
And it was a tremendous surprise for me because, first of all, the Waldorf is such an iconic building.
Yes.
And because of just the sheer scale of the building, it's the most iconic and transformative adaptive reuse project in New York right now. It's valued at $1 billion, the renovation.
Wow.
And it's also a good example of how you can reinvent an old building and give it a purpose that meets today's society's expectations and needs. And working on a project of this scale also taught me that great projects are always the result of a collaboration, of working in big teams, working with engineers, conservation architects. The clients, our clients were in China, and they were extremely interested in preserving such an iconic American building. And it was a wonderful experience also to understand how to renovate a landmark, a heritage building, because we had to do a lot of research to find out how the building was built originally, what changed over time, and how could we bring it back to its old glory.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it was a very interesting project.
We have been showing some pictures. Maybe we still have some more pictures to show about this project. And if you can describe maybe some of the pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. So this project specifically is a project in Owen Sound, Ontario. My firm is extremely focused in designing adaptive reuse projects. We think it's really the future of architecture. A very wise man once told me that the most sustainable building is the one that you don't build. So if we can use the existing buildings that we have right now and repurpose them, bringing them back to life, I think it's the first step to a more sustainable built environment.
How hard was it to study and to research and to find the best way to evolve and to get involved into this project?
Yeah, so you really need to understand a few things. One of them is what is the story behind the building? Why was it built at the time? And you also need to understand what is the value of that building for the community. Many times people would prefer that buildings are repurposed than actually demolished. So it's our role as architects to find creative solutions and affordable solutions to repurpose existing buildings. And the Owen Sound Jail is a wonderful example of that. It's a building that it served its purpose initially. It was a courthouse and a jail back in the day, one of the first ones in Canada. And it was decommissioned in 2011, and the city of Owen Sound had nothing to do with the building, so they decided to sell it. And my client, a real visionary in my opinion, saw in this building an opportunity to create a multi-purpose event center. It's going to be a wedding venue, it's going to be a business center, it's going to be a museum. And most of all, the most important thing is we're giving that building back to the community, back to the city of Owen Sound. And everyone is happy at the end of the day. And as an architect, I think when I see that the projects that we're working on are creating a positive impact on communities, for me, that's my biggest goal. That's when I really feel that my work is doing the right thing.
We'll have therefore many cultural activities.
Hopefully, yeah, many happy days. I'm sure there's going to be lots of weddings happening there, and also a museum to showcase the history of the building, to educate people, and as an architect also, the building being an example to other architects and to other planners of we don't need to demolish these buildings. We don't need to tear down our history. We can reuse buildings and give them a new life. Unfortunately, Toronto and other cities in Ontario have had a hard time dealing with heritage. We don't really know what to do with it. Sometimes it's easier to just demolish a building and to build something new. Unfortunately, that's a very North American approach to development. But a newer generation of architects and planners are thinking differently.
Yes.
Thinking about...
How are they thinking?
We're thinking about the future, really. What is the world that we want to give our children? What is the world that we want to live in the future? And I think that builders, developers, architects, people that are involved in the real estate market are at the forefront of that discussion of the future, of the world that we're going to leave behind.
Yeah, I agree with that theory, and I hope the young generation of architects will really decide to go that route.
We are trying very hard. I am trying very hard to really send that message out there and to convince my colleague architects that sustainability is the way to go, that we need to stop doing what we were doing before with our cities, with our built environments, and we need to build sustainably.
Sustainability is a common feature that is very visible in all your projects. What are your thoughts on the role of sustainability in architecture?
That's a great segue, really, from what we were talking about. The role of sustainability. Well, first of all, I think it's important for us to understand what is sustainability in construction and architecture. It's not about, I'm a sustainable architect, but I don't consider myself a tree hugger. And there's a very important distinction between that. I think sustainability involves, using local builders, local materials, sourcing economical ways of building, thinking about the life cycle of a building. You're building something, but also think about how you're going to, in the future, deconstruct that building, and reuse that building. So sustainability is critical because construction, and I actually have some statistics here to share with you.
Yes.
I thought they were really interesting.
Great.
So just pollution in construction, it results in 23% of all the air pollution. 50% of the climatic change is resulting from construction activity. 40% of drinking water pollution, and 50% of landfill waste comes from construction. And globally, 40% of the worldwide energy consumption comes from construction activities. So we can understand how critical this whole thing is, right? And sustainability is about us being able to meet our needs and demands today, but not impeding the future generation of being able to do that as well. So we want to build buildings that are healthy, that don't give you allergies, that actually promote your mental health and promote healthiness and happiness. And we want to also build buildings that are resilient, that don't require so much maintenance, so much fresh water to operate, that can generate their own energy as well. So all of those things, when you put them together, are critical for the sustainability of our cities.
We'd like to show some pictures about sustainability.
Absolutely.
If you have
yeah.
a chance to show here.
Yeah, these are all projects, and I chose these projects of different scales to show that a sustainable building does not need to be a big building. So this is an example of a very high-rise tower in Kuwait City. So it's a building that is shaped to maximize the exposure to the north face, because Kuwait is one of the hottest countries in the world. So the building really maximizes the north face of the facade for the views, and minimizes the south side, where actually we have solar panels to capture as much energy as possible. So it's a building that really adapts to the unique characteristics of that particular place. And this would be an example of sustainability applied to a large-scale building.
Great. And in this particular case?
So this is the opposite. This is a very small mid-rise building. It's all timber structure. So timber is a wonderful material because it's renewable. It's sourced in nature, and it's actually how we used to build buildings back in the day in big cities like Toronto. And it's coming back. So this is a multi-residential building, a small one, but it's basically using prefabricated materials. Each unit has big surfaces of glass to give you access to daylight. Each unit also has access to a small garden, so people can still plant their vegetables and their flowers, and also maximizes views of the lake. So this is an example of even a smaller scale, someone's home, and how, you know, a client that approached us and asked us to design, we want to live in a home that doesn't kill us, that actually the materials are not emitting chemicals that are going to harm our health. We want you to design a healthy home. And this is a home in Toronto for wonderful clients that they're moving from an apartment to a home, so this is their dream home. And they also wanted to build a very energy efficient house. So the exterior walls and the roofs are very, so they're designed with a very high R value to maximize energy efficiency. And this one specifically is a Toronto couple that decided to sell their home in Toronto and to move to the countryside. They actually asked me to make an old farmhouse as energy efficient as possible. So we're applying a new skin to the whole building to make it super energy efficient, and we're adding a new, almost net zero extension to the building.
Great. Eric Rodriguez.
Thank you very much.
It's go on explaining more pictures if we have, because this is a subject of great interest.
Absolutely.
Create the harmony between humans and nature so that we are happier.
Yeah.
That
It's all about, it's harmony with nature, but at the end of the day, it's also meeting our clients' goals. There's no sustainability if people don't see a benefit of applying it. There's a bias in the construction industry that sustainability is more expensive. And that is one of the first conversations that I have with many developers and builders is, we would love to build sustainably, but we don't know if we can afford it. And my focus as an architect is to really, break the bias, is to show that many of the critical decisions that impact the energy efficiency of a building are applied before you actually start designing the building, is looking at a site and really understanding where the sun is, how can you orient this building to really maximize the energy efficiency of the building. If you look to downtown Toronto, we're building these massive square-shaped towers that are fully glazed, transparent glass, that require a tremendous effort to cool and heat. So we're constantly relying on mechanical systems so we can actually have comfort inside of those buildings. I think that's a terrible decision as an architect, because you should be designing buildings that require less and less mechanical systems to cool them and to heat them. So it's all about the initial and most important decisions that you make. Where do you place a window? How do you shade that window? What is the shape of the building? And if you do that right, half of your job as an architect and a builder is done already.
Great. Now I am understanding a little better what the future of architecture will bring to us.
Absolutely.
New trends, perhaps, new innovation.
Absolutely. Like the construction industry, unfortunately, has always been behind. If you think of the automotive industry, for example, it's far more advanced than the architecture industry in terms of innovation. We've been building buildings in Toronto like we were building 200 years ago. So there hasn't been a lot of innovation. So I think that architects need to lead that debate. They need to lead that discussion regarding innovation. And I'm very happy to be leading that discussion. And in terms of, what we think that the future of architecture is going to be, I think that it's always going to be related to healthy buildings, to building in a way that is affordable and economical. We have a growing population in Toronto. We have a constant flux of new people coming into the city. There are issues with affordability, with access to quality homes. So I think that in general, architects, planners, builders, developers, everyone that has a say in the built environment needs to work hard to create conditions for people to be able to live in healthy cities and healthy communities. In my company, ERS, we've been doing a lot of work with policymakers, city planners, and really also educating our clients on how important it is to design buildings that are an inspiration for us today, the ones that are building the cities today, but also for future generations, to show them that it is possible to be bold and to do things differently.
Now that you have been describing so much about your work, I'd like to find out, in terms of future, what are your plans? What do you envision? How are you going to develop your own company and your own theories, your own projects?
So really, as I was saying, I think that I'm really going to focus my energy on homes. And when I say homes, not only single-family homes, mostly multi-residential. I think that there is a housing crisis today, and architects need to be at the forefront of that discussion of how do we create affordable housing, quality housing for people, and also, multi-residential buildings that add value to communities. And I think that the future is for us to really develop density in our cities and abandon the model of greenfield development, because I think that's a failed model of development. We've been seeing how Ontario has been developing in suburban, contexts, really farmland that has been transformed into, development, urban development. And, every time you build a house, you need to create services, roads, and you're just increasing the carbon footprint. I think we need to look at our city and find creative ways of creating smart density that resolves the problems that we have today, but is smart enough as well to address the problems that we're going to have in the future.
Great. So we are almost at the end of our interview, but we are showing some more pictures. The project that really intrigued me was the Waldorf reuse project. I think you could maybe address a little more about the concrete work that was done by you.
Yeah, so the Waldorf is a very unique case because it's a building that's an interior and exterior landmark. So anything basically that you would touch in this building would have to go through a special approval committee called the Landmarks and Conservation Authority. And so we had to prepare a very detailed presentation package, really showing how the building was built originally, all the transformations, all the changes that were made on the building, exterior and interior of the building over time, and what would be the future condition. Actually, this image is perfect. This image shows original, existing, and future condition, and there really is, you can see an effort in these slides to really bring the building back to its original glory. And it's one of the most successful, I'm biased because I worked on the building, but I think it's one of the most successful adaptive reuse projects in North America. And we should see more of these happening, not only in the States, but mostly in Canada. We need to stop ignoring and demolishing our heritage. We need to start reusing it and renovating it.
I totally agree with that. And can you please tell us a little more about your current projects?
Yeah, so my current projects are mostly residential and adaptive reuse. And sustainability is really what ties everything together. So I really tell my clients that, we're going to build a sustainable building for you, a sustainable home for you, and it's not going to cost you more. And another thing that I really focus on is to really remove that idea that architects design these buildings that people can't afford, because my firm focuses specifically on delivering projects that meet timelines, they meet our clients' budgets, and they're also healthy and they promote a healthier living and a sustainable future.
Great. I think we are almost at the end of our program. It was great to learn about
Thank you very much.
about sustainability, reuse projects, and your project in Ukraine that won an international award. I hope we'll be able to accomplish.
Absolutely, and I also would like to commend you for hosting these shows and for being such an important voice in the real estate community. I think we need more people like you to join people like me in this pursuit for a better future.
Working together in unity That's the purpose,
Absolutely.
and that's the future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
This is our family.
This is our life.